Aloha and man alive, this story is a stinker. This is Amazing Spider-Man 566. It is part 2 of the Spider-Man's First Hunt trilogy. This cover is a cute homage to a fairly bland Spider-Man cover, except now it is Daredevil, and he is in the same pose as Spider-Man originally was. Or rather, it is Spider-Man in a Daredevil costume. I got this story when it came out. Back then, I thought it was maybe average. It was nothing special. It was inoffensive. Now, though, this really is a bad story. I didn't think there was an editor reading it, and I didn't think anyone at Marvel gave it a look before it was printed. The story is so unbelievably broken and nonsensical. I was going to tear into the plot and how there are no motivations, nothing is understandable. But then I thought about it and I realised that every problem with this comic, it is all linked to this character here. This is one of the crappy supporting characters that were added to the book after Spider-Man sold his marriage to his good mate Satan. The book, it had this injection of really pointless and unlikable new characters. It was a pure vanity thing. Dan Slott and Jose Quesada and the editors, they were thinking they were writing the most important Spider-Man comics since the 60s. Nobody liked any of the new characters, but they were always in the books, and the whole plot here is circling this prick. And I have a theory. I get the feeling that his prominence in this plot, and in others, but this one especially, I think it was forced by editorial, and that is why his involvement and everything concerning him does not have any narrative sense. He has been forced into this story. He has been forced into this pre-existing plot. He has been forced into this major role in this already planned story. And everything concerning that doesn't work. Unterman's daughter, she has kidnapped this douchebag because she thinks he is Spider-Man. How she came to this conclusion, it made no sense. We saw that last issue. She decided that the person who got ran over by a car, that was Spider-Man, instead of the other person she suspected, who expertly avoided bullets, who jumped through windows and saved lives. So Spider-Man, the real one, he realises that his roommate has gone missing, and so has his Spider-Man costume. Apparently, Spider-Man still only has one costume. I will let that fly for the sake of it just being a sort of nitpicky thing. So he goes to Daredevil, and this is silly. He asks Daredevil if he can borrow his costume to go and save his roommate. Okay, that is a fine little idea, a cute little bit with Spider-Man, pretending to be Daredevil or whatever, but it fails to resolve an important aspect of this story. At no point is this douche, real name Derek D. Douche, the D stands for douchebag. At no point is him not really being Spider-Man ever a concern. Peter Parker doesn't do anything to dispel the notion that Derek is Spider-Man. Him ganning as Daredevil only validates it. Unterman's daughter, she never comes to realise that she got the wrong person. And when this is all over, there is every possibility she will just strike out again and hurt this innocent, defenceless douche because she thinks it is Spider-Man. But the good part, I suppose, is we have Vermin Man appear. I think they were mainly desperate to sell this as yet another sequel to the original Spider-Man's Last Hunt. So, yeah, Vermin Man is here. He is handled between well and bad. The bad stuff mostly happens off panel, so you could maybe just say he is handled okay. He fights Unterman's daughter, and here is Spider-Man as Daredevil. To get back to this sort of stuff, I reckon this was an idea someone spitballed in the office. They were like, how about a story or a bit where Spider-Man, he loses his costume or something, and then he has to dress up as Daredevil for a day. And they took that idea and they just attached it to this one story. Daredevil has now to do with Spider-Man's Last Hunt. Why is this part of the story when it is so disconnected that it could really be placed as a part of just about any story? Also, Spider-Man, he is lending Daredevil's costume. He will be thrilled to get it back and find that Spider-Man has cut massive eye holes into it. Him dressing up as Daredevil is a cute idea, but this story is shit. I'm just going to say it. It's not good. There is Emma Frosty's to really cheer us up though. So I am in a good mood now, and we're straight back to being terrible. We have a fight with Vermin Man and Unterman's daughter, and the focus is instead on Derek Douchebag Douche and how he is capable regardless of him not being Spider-Man. All the new characters were Mary Sue's like this. Then Spider-Man encounters Vermin Man and they end up fighting. And Spider-Man, he is shown to be artless and inconsiderate towards Vermin Man, despite all the character growth we saw with his sympathy and compassion for Vermin Man in the 90s in Spectator Spider-Man. And this is after Unterman's daughter beat Vermin Man in a fight. And just after, Derek D. Douche broke free from her trap. Here, we are having Spider-Man losing in a fight with Vermin Man. You see, the train of thought here is to subconsciously suggest a few things. Firstly, if Spider-Man loses to Vermin Man, that means that Unterman's daughter is even a bigger threat because she managed to beat Vermin Man. And then, on top of that, Derek Douchebag Douche, he is amazing because, you see, he escaped from Unterman's daughter's trap. And as we have established, she is better than Vermin Man, so she is better than Spider-Man. And if Derek is better than her, then he is also better than Spider-Man. Spider-Man, he gets fucking mauled by Vermin Man. A nice showing for Vermin Man, I suppose. That's the nicest thing I can say about this story. Letters, we have another one from Leeds. Sadly, they didn't specify where in Leeds, and I notice a bit of ignorance from the editor here. If you look for all the American letters, the addresses, they are all formatted correctly. They have the place, and then a comma, and then the state. But Leeds, England, it is just one thing with no comma between them. It is as if Marvel and their editors didn't give a fuck about anything outside of California, New York, and Portland. You know what? I hate these Spider-Man books. The Dan Slott days were a nightmare. Even when he was just one of a rotating group of writers. There is a story in here that could work, but I think it is just bogged down in editorial mandates and agendas. I didn't recommend you buy a single Spider-Man comic from the whole Dan Slott reign. I didn't even want to give this the respect of a 7 thumbs up, but whatever, 7 thumbs up.